I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. This year, to honor all that trees do for A2, select residents were gifted 40 trees from the city to celebrate 40 years of Arbor Day. Check it out. Trees are rooted into our lives, and caring for them is imperative to the wealth of our planet.
They absorb stormwater runoff. They will help clean the air. They will provide less reliance on electricity to run air conditioners. So there's numerous studies out there that talk about the value of trees, and especially in today's climate.
The city works with the Elizabeth Dean Fund year after year in honor of Arbor Day.
After Elizabeth Dean died, she donated nearly $2 million to the city of Ann Arbor in 1964. She specifically stated they're for the maintenance, the replacement, and care of city street trees. This event today, it's a recognition of that, of the efforts that the city of Ann Arbor has focused on in terms of urban tree care.
And remember to water your trees.
We encourage the residents to help care for these trees that are planted.
Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. Local creators put their best brushes, torches, and charcoal pencils to work as they shared their designs during a biannual event hosted by and for the artist. Twice annually, artisans take over the west side of Ann Arbor for a one-of-a-kind strolling art tour.
It's a typical quirky kind of Ann Arbor thing, so that's fun in itself. Plus, there's a lot of local artists, and it's so much more interesting to buy something from somebody who you've met and can explain it to you, what it means, and it's really personal.
The Westside Art Hop boasts 17 venues featuring 40-plus artists.
I'm creating a tribute to a person, a dedication. I take them into mind as I'm creating the bird in terms of their likes, their preferences, their taste, even some of their characteristics, for example, like glasses or even like their fashion sense. And then I create a handwritten dedication about the bird through the lens of the individual's highest self.
I've always loved picture books, and I think the best ones approach art, and it's this whole sense of creating a partial narrative between the image and the words. So I would say that interplay is one of the more unique aspects of what I do.
It's a great way to see such varied artwork. There's glass artists, there's textile artists, there's painters, there's almost any avenue, any medium that you want to see, they'll find it in this neighborhood.
We all love good eats on the grill and a warm campfire. But before you ignite those flames, there's some need-to-know safety info. Learn more in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi, my name is Mike Kennedy. I'm the fire chief for the Ann Arbor Fire Department, here today to talk about fire safety. We have a lot of information on the city website, a2gov.org/fire, for both grilling safety along with outdoor fireplace safety. For grilling safety, we recommend keeping grills at least 10 feet away from a structure. If you have hot coals, never throw them into the trash. That can cause a fire. And for outdoor fire safety, you can't have campfires in the city of Ann Arbor. They have to be 25 feet from a structure. You are also allowed to have portable fireplaces. Those have to be 15 feet from a structure. You need to make sure that they're tended at all times and they're completely extinguished before you leave. There's some additional guidance and requirements that are available on the city website. please go there, check it out. If you have any other questions, please let us know. We're happy to answer.
For a little over a decade, we have been hearing how beneficial it is to have a standing desk at work, particularly if you have a job that requires a lot of sitting and computing. But are the stats true? We're going to delve into this topic with local ergonomics expert and founder of Structured Health Resources, Sara Eggleston, to find out what works best and some of the challenges associated with sit-to-stand desks. Welcome back to the show, Sara.
Thank you, Dana, for having me.
You know, when you think about like a decade, it depends on if you're thinking about like a decade of your life, that's a long time. But when you think about a decade of a product, that doesn't seem like a very long time. So I think like when sit to stand desks first came out, we were hearing like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this. But I don't know if we really knew why we had to do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. But to be honest, these adjustable type desks have been around for more than a century. So it really hit kind of the mass market a decade ago or so. But just to make that clear, the benefit of adjustability in a desk has been well known in the industry and with research all the way back to typing stands. So
Wow,
how you
okay.
sit at your typing stand. So this is not something necessarily new, but the mass market really took hold, I would say, in the last decade.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it until it was like a thing that the city of Ann Arbor was like, hey, would you guys be interested in sit to stand desks?
Yeah.
And it was like a few people where we work started doing it. I never really felt the need because I'm someone that gets up a lot during work to do other things. So I'm like, I like to sit when I'm at my desk.
You have that, variety within your work schedule, and that's key. So that really is what the whole concept is about, is being able to move frequently. And some people's jobs just afford that, and the ability to just stand up. It's free. You don't have to add an accessory, just stand up, right? So there is a lot of debate about both the benefits and detriments to these desks. Now, let me make it really clear. A desk that goes up and down in height is incredibly beneficial to everyone within an office space, okay? So if you can push a button and the desk will go up or down, that is just as sweet as it could be. You're very fortunate, and you can just make adjustments based on how tall you are. So if you're 5'3", you might have a desk that goes up to 26 inches. And if you're 5'9", you might have your desk go up to 28 inches. So that's beautiful. Where we see issues are when it's these sit upon, they're called converters, the apparatus or device that sits upon someone's desk. And what I want to make clear today for your listeners is really what are these issues and how can we address them?
For instance, right now, I am using an adjustable stand for the laptop for this meeting, but it's something that I typically just use for these meetings. I don't stand around at my table and use it and stuff, but this is a temporary one. I put it away when I'm done using it. And I'm sure like right now, if I'm typing, which I'm not, it wouldn't be the proper position for my wrists.
Dana, I can't believe you're bringing that up, because it does frustrate me. But what you're doing right now is you're using that as a stand to hold your camera in a more ideal viewing position.
Yes.
And that's smart. And people are getting more savvy to not having to look way down when they do their Zoom calls. So, good on you. That's really important. But what is so funny is that recently I saw a friend of mine, and I'm thinking, if even my friend doesn't do this correctly, I need to get out there and promote this better. And she was doing the same thing you're talking about. And this is how she types. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so yes, you're using it not as a standing, but you're using it for an ideal placement of it.
I actually like that you mentioned how your friend, because this is something we had talked before this interview, and you had asked me to go to my office and get videos and photos of the sit to stand desks that we have at CTN. So one of the employees was there, and I'm not going to name names, and he was using his desk, or he was standing at his desk when I showed up, and I go, can you lower it so I can get a shot of you low with the desk low? And he goes, I don't know how to lower it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, what do you do when you're sitting at this computer? And he goes, I go like this.
Yes.
And I'm like, that has to be like the worst thing you could possibly be doing for your posture.
But you bring up such a good point, Dana. And I think so many people really don't take time to invest in considering the products they use and how it's best to use them. I mean, it really does take an effort. And this can be a chair, this could be one of those converters, this could even be a keyboard. And so often that really is where the difference lies in something being effective in helping someone's health or not effective. And no offense, this is unintentional for these employers that are providing these because they really think, sitting's the new smoking, so I need to give everybody in our group these standing desks so they have that option. I want to keep them healthy. It's all good intentions, right? However, when you already have a fixed desk that's probably designed for a 6'2", 6'3" male, and then you put a converter on top of it. I mean, just this week we had someone who was 5'1", and she said, I could never use that sit to stand device because it was so uncomfortable. Well, of course it was. It made everything way up here, the poor thing could hardly reach it.
Yeah.
You get rid of it, you get her to stand more, you get her to move. These are all things that are good for your health. There are standards, and they're very well thought through based on anthropometrics, which is dimensions of a person's body. It's important because we need to work below our relaxed elbow height. And what that means is right now, you and I have our shoulders relaxed, our arms are next to our side. Where our elbow is from the floor is ideally where our keyboard would be, below that.
Mhm.
Dana, you might be old enough to remember what a typist looks like. I do. I learned to type in school, so I'm old enough. You may have seen it in your early years in the industry. And a typist would never have her arms raised in the air, right? She would never be reaching out. She's always keeping the elbow next to the side. Movement's good, but these devices often create a more awkward posture and placement.
This is where structured health resources is like such a great place to look into, because like you said, it's always good intentions. They want you to stand up because they don't want you to be tired at work. They want you to be more productive. But if it's uncomfortable and you're coming home from work and your body hurts, that's not good either. So having someone like you who actually knows where the measurements should be and how important the height of things is. Because I know, like, even when I'll have to hang lights at work sometimes, and I'm short for it. Like, I'm right at the cusp. I can barely reach when I'm at the top of the ladder. And I know when I'm done, my shoulders and stuff sort of hurt because I'm reaching like too far for my body.
Right. Over your shoulders. Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like stuff like that where I feel like you need to listen to yourself. Your body tells you a lot of things if you pay attention to it.
Right. And if it's not comfortable, then you need to evaluate it and change it. So for instance, some people think that if you're standing a lot, adding a mat, an anti-fatigue mat is a good solution. Well, yes, if you're on a factory floor and you're having to stand all day, or you're at a service counter and you have to stand all day, absolutely use an anti-fatigue mat. But if you are an office worker and you're alternating between sitting and standing, and you have one of those mats, it masks a couple things and it impedes something very important. It impedes the ability to easily move your chair so you can sit. It also masks the fact that you're getting fatigued, and it encourages you to sit. So the benefit is to alternate this sitting and standing, not stand all the time, not sit all the time.
Well, that's because I hear this all the time now about how sitting's the new smoking, which seems so ridiculous to me. Like, there's no way that sitting can be as bad as smoking is to you. But
Yeah.
to me, it's like, yeah, there has to be there's a good in between. You have to sit sometimes. I know my feet tell me when I need to sit.
If all these studies about the benefits of standing are based on everybody in a bad sit posture anyway, well, then of course it's better to do this alternative posture than what has conventionally been done. If we use our armrest of our chair, then we can facilitate movement by sitting back in our chair, and we're in a more ideal neutral posture in the first place. So I do think that sitting improperly has been an issue because of a lack of training for workers. And that's really where we try to come to the table, is let's give education so that someone knows how to adjust their converter to raise and lower it, so someone understands how to better use their chair. So people don't slouch and rest in onto their desk. So
And when you mention that too, I bet you probably notice this all the time, because I think probably the most of us slouch a lot in our regular life. So that's probably a huge thing. I notice even like if I'm like not working, but let's say I'm talking to someone and they're in a chair, I'll have a tendency to just be like sitting like this. I just lean forward, and then that's not great for your posture either.
Well, it is. It shows engagement, Dana. So don't take that away. That shows that you're listening, and that's all good. Those little bits, and that's moving. It's when you're trying to use an input device like a mouse or a keyboard that makes you static. It kind of it plants you onto your desk. That's where we're running into problems, because when you plant into your desk, you're kind of putting pressure down and you're bending your wrists, and it can cause some of those symptoms like lower back pain, carpal tunnel, things that we want to prevent.
So basically, there is definitely a market, and having a sit-to-stand desk is a good thing. And like you said, everyone could benefit from one. And the ones we have at CTN, other than the one I told you about, I couldn't figure out how to lower that one either because I didn't want to mess with it too much. But the other one that I did get some footage of was very easy. It was like just like a little thing on the side, and you go down. Or you go up, and it's not heavy. I think one of the things, and this could be a problematic thing for a lot of people, because I think people are getting bigger workstations now. So at CTN, a lot of us have dual screens because we edit, and a lot of those sit to stand desks can't hold two screens.
Okay, but a lot of them can. So here's something to consider with the sit to stand converters. So they're sitting upon the desk, is adjustability in the screen height. So keep in mind, just like we want to have everything below our elbow height when we're using our mouse and keyboard. So that means our chair has to be high enough that we're not having to lift up our arms, right? We also want to slightly look down to our screens. So one of the challenges we have with those apparatuses that have a fixed place that the monitors go, they are often too high for anyone who wears a bifocal, for anyone who's under 5'8". It's very important that we slightly look down to our screen. So when you look down to something, you blink more and your eyes won't fatigue as much and they tear. If you're looking up, you don't blink as much. So
this is actually a great tip, not just for work, for TV too. If you like to watch TV at your house, this is like a big, I know all about this because we never mounted our TV because everyone likes to mount their TV above the
fireplace.
And it's the worst. It's so bad for your neck. It's bad for your eyes. It's like the worst thing you can do.
Yes. Oh, Dana, that's so funny. Same thing in our household. No, a TV doesn't go above the fireplace. Yes. It looks awesome. It does.
It looks great. But you know what? I'd rather have my neck be thanking me for not doing it.
Right. And your eyes. Don't forget your eyes. It really does make it. And a lot of people are putting tears and adding little tears into their eyes, or they wear contacts and they tell me they can't wear them at work because it's just too fatiguing to their eyes. Most often their screens are too high, right? So we can remedy that by lowering it. But those converters, again, that well-intentioned employer who buys everybody one of those devices almost universally places the keyboard and mouse too high, places the monitor too high, and also sometimes they impede you from being close to your writing area if you engage in a lot of paper tasks. So just something you want to consider. It's really best to do these type of modifications more custom. It's not like you're not going to throw a keyboard tray into everybody's station and expect it's going to work. You need to help them understand where to install it, how it would fit the person, and make adjustments accordingly.
It's a really interesting conversation because even when I was shooting these videos, and I had a man who was like an average height man, and then I had a woman who's an average height woman, maybe a little shorter than average. But as I was telling her to do this, I was like, does it feel comfortable for you? Because I felt like it wasn't watching her. I was like, I feel like it should be a little bit lower, but I didn't want to tell her what was comfortable for her either. But neither one of us have a sit to stand desk. She was just being a model for me. So I guess neither one of us would be 100% positive where it should be. And that's why talking to a professional is so important, I think, because I really think that we don't know unless we get those aches and pains.
Absolutely. And it's good for us to just pause from the craziness of what we have to get done in our workday. I mean, we're all very busy, and just take time to think, is this working? Is this comfortable? If you purchase a desk from a box store, so more and more of us are working from home, and And so you maybe want to invest in setting up your own home office. If you go to a box store, pretty much as a rule, your desk is, if it's fixed, if it's just a normal desk, it's going to be 29 to 30 inches. So for any woman that uses that desk, she's going to want to get a chair that has a cylinder that raises high enough to bring her elbows up to that height and then add a footrest. So that would be a good solution, for setting up your home office.
It's just so weird to think about how everything is made for a tall person. I just find it very interesting because, when I think about my life, I think about most of the people in my life. I have a really tall brother, but like the majority of the people that surround me are of average height.
Right. Absolutely. And it makes sense in the sense if you're going to have like a universal design and you're going to want it to fit for everybody. When they made that decision that the 6'2", 6'3" male's legs have to clear under a desk, they realized that anybody who isn't that tall could add a keyboard tray and raise their chair. So it was a solution that allowed that to fit everybody. Guess what? Nobody got that memo. Nobody knows.
I've never heard of this until I started talking to you. I've never heard I never thought my desk was too tall. I know I was uncomfortable at work, but I never thought my desk was too tall. I never thought about it.
It's amazing to me. And when I do a lot of research, I've written about the method of supporting your forearm by your chair's armrest. And the next research I'm doing is all about surface height. It's all about the height of a surface. And so I'm reading books that are, going back to World War II and training on how aware and how invested in surface height we were prior to computers. And so it's almost like you used to, when you were in typing class, you got trained on posture and you got trained on how to have your wrists be neutral, and people understood this. And then with the inundation, and obviously, we're all using computers today, there's not that same universal training to help.
Which it seems like it should be the other way around. We should all be, I took a typing class, I think in junior high, which is so funny because we already had a computer lab, but I did take a typing class.
Well, that dates you, Dana.
Yes, I'm getting old now. So but yeah, it is interesting that there was, and I'm sure that was probably one of the last years that school even had a typing class, I bet, to teach you how to type properly, how you're supposed to be sitting. Right. And nowadays, it's like, here's your computer, go lay in your bed with it.
That's a great segue to this because recently my oldest child is graduating this year from high school. So we're looking at colleges. And lo and behold, every single dorm I go into, click, 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 I'm doing the old camera, but obviously it's with my phone, but taking pictures of all the desks. And then I pull out my measurement and I'm measuring all these desks. So we've been to, let's say, about 8 colleges. Crazy. The desks in colleges dorms are 30 inches or higher. So that means all these college dorms have desks that are designed for a 6'5" male or taller.
Which is even stranger. Well, first of all, being 6'5" is not the average by any means.
No.
But if you're a male and you're a freshman, which is what you're talking about, that's when you're living in the dorms. You're not even fully grown yet. You're not 6'5". Odds are you're not going to be 6'5", but you're not even going to be to that point yet where if you were to be 6'5".
And everybody wonders why kids are working on their laptops in their beds. Well, duh,
Yeah, they're uncomfortable. It's more comfortable to lay down and have it on my chest than it is to be sitting at this desk where I'm like,
exactly.
It's the mummy or like the Frankenstein.
Right. So back to the sit to stand concept. There are desks called stand bias. So stand bias desks would be desks that you buy that only go down to like 35 inches. So they're meant to be used if you're kind of on a stool, and then they might raise. So beware of those desks in the sense that they're not meant to sit in a conventional chair.
Why don't you tell us about the benefits of structured health resources, how people can get a hold of you, contact you with any of these questions? And it doesn't have to be about sit to stand desks. We've talked in the past about the height of desks. We've talked about having those the pullouts for your keyboard and how those are beneficial. So, I mean, you do a lot of stuff to help people feel more comfortable in their it's work, but that's like a lot of your life, 40 hours a week.
before the pandemic, we spent more time with our computers than our significant others. So, you know, we kind of think of ourselves as relationship consultants because this is a very important relationship in your life. And so we do offer assessments, primarily virtual, and we've been doing them virtual for about 17 years. And it's just an easy, quick, you send images of yourself. We can do it via Zoom, we can do it Teams, whatever you prefer, or just over the phone to guide you through ways to improve your comfort by modifying the equipment that you have, maybe seeing if you need any other equipment. But as I said early on, a lot of times we're removing these sit-to-stand devices and talking about ways to add movement to your day without a purchase. So we really focus on that posture and the method that we work and investing in our health by taking time to really evaluate our working needs. So yeah, it's great work. It really is. It's wonderful to help people feel more comfortable and invest in their kind of computer relationship, right?
Well, I appreciate you being on the show and enlightening me and my viewers on these posture issues, because like I said, a lot of this stuff you brought to light for me. I didn't know these were issues. I didn't know why things were making me feel certain ways. So I do appreciate that, because without the knowledge of it, you can't fix it.
Yeah, my pleasure, Dana. It's been a great conversation, and I wish your viewers all the best of luck in trying to figure it out. But if you need help, let me know. I'd be happy to help you. Structuredhealth.com is our website.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer, and remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.